Most people never imagine they might stumble across the remains of an Ice Age giant while going about an ordinary workday in Texas. Yet that is exactly what happened when a worker at a gravel pit near the Colorado River in Columbus, Texas, uncovered sections of ancient Mammoth Tusk. In this video, I'll show you some remarkable pieces of prehistoric mammoth ivory, explain how experts identified them, and talk about why this material is so highly prized today. Let's start with the tusk sections themselves. On the left in this photo is a piece of mammoth tusk measuring about 13.5 inches around, part of a larger group of sections that together weigh around 12 pounds. These pieces came from a seller in southeast Texas, whose relative discovered them while operating a front-end loader at a gravel pit near the Colorado River, outside Columbus. As he tried to dislodge a larger buried object, he accidentally broke off several sections, without realizing at first that he was handling something tens of thousands of years old. Curious about what her relative had found, she brought the tusk sections to the Whitty Museum in San Antonio, Texas. There, a specialist examined the material closely and focused on a very distinctive pattern in the ivory known as Schrager lines. These cross-hatched, diamond-shaped lines are visible when ivory is cut across the tusk, and they provide an important clue. By measuring the angle where the lines intersect, experts can tell whether the piece comes from an elephant or from a mammoth. Elephant ivory typically shows angles greater than about 115 degrees, while mammoth ivory shows acute angles less than 90 degrees. In this case, the pattern clearly indicated fossilized mammoth ivory. The curator went even further, suggesting that these tusks likely belonged to a Columbian mammoth that once roamed the Colorado River Valley in East Texas up to roughly 50,000 years ago. Columbian mammoths were impressive animals, even by Ice Age standards. They were generally larger and had far less hair than their better-known relatives, the woolly mammoths. An average Columbian mammoth could stand around 13 feet tall at the shoulder, roughly 3 feet taller than most woolly mammoths, and could weigh about twice as much. Fossil evidence shows that these giants once roamed across what is now Texas, including river valleys like the one where these tusks were found. The tusk sections weren't the only prehistoric remains discovered at that gravel pit. The same relative also found mammoth bones and at least 2 mammoth molars. Now let's talk about why mammoth ivory has become such a sought-after material. In 1989, the international commercial trade in elephant ivory was effectively banned under CITES, and the United States followed with strict bans on the importation, sale, and possession of post-ban elephant ivory to protect modern elephant populations. Mammoth ivory, however, comes from an extinct species and is not covered by those bans, so it has become the primary legal alternative to elephant ivory for many artisans. Most commercial mammoth ivory on the market today is mined from permafrost in places like Siberia, and a large portion is exported to China, where it is carved into jewelry, chopsticks, and traditional decorative pieces. Because of its beauty and workability, mammoth ivory is highly prized by craftsmen and collectors. It's used for high-end gun grips, knife handles, jewelry, musical instrument components, scrimshaw, carvings, and a wide range of decorative items. Prices vary widely, from roughly $50 up to about $300 per pound, depending on the size, condition, and quality of each piece. Smaller, badly weathered fragments with cracks and discoloration are less useful, while larger, solid sections with minimal damage command the highest prices. Given the limited supply and growing demand, it's very reasonable to expect the value of good quality mammoth ivory to continue rising over time. At this point, you might be wondering how a rough, fossilized tusk can be transformed into something suitable for fine craftsmanship. To illustrate that process, I'll show you another piece of mammoth tusk from my collection. In the before photo, you can see how it looked after spending thousands of years buried in the Alaskan tundra, dull, weathered, and riddled with cracks, crevices, and surface blemishes. At first glance, it looks more like a random chunk of firewood than a valuable piece of ivory. In the after image, you can see the same piece after it has been stabilized and polished. The stabilizing process involves impregnating the porous tusk material with a clear polymer under vacuum or pressure, allowing the polymer to penetrate the cracks and voids. After treatment, the piece is heated in an oven for several hours to cure and harden the polymer throughout the ivory. The final step is polishing the surface using a buffing wheel and polishing compound, which brings out the creamy color and natural grain of the ivory, while greatly improving its durability and structural integrity. This relatively simple process dramatically improves both the visual appeal and the practical value of the material. Discoveries like these tusk sections are a powerful reminder that traces of the Ice Age still lie hidden just beneath our feet, even in places we might not expect. In this case, a routine day's work at a gravel pit along the Colorado River turned into a scientific and historical discovery, one that connected a modern Texas family with a mammoth that roamed this region tens of thousands of years ago. They also highlight the importance of paying attention to unusual objects in everyday environments. With a careful eye and a bit of curiosity, it is still possible to find remarkable pieces of our planet's prehistoric past. If you enjoyed this look at prehistoric mammoth ivory and the story behind these tusk sections from East Texas, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you.